will each have 1 minute to answer these questions. At the end of the debate, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We hope that for you in the audience, if you have questions, there will be people distributing and collecting cards in which you can write your questions, and we will have them asked. By the earlier drawing, Mr.
Grandone.
Grandone. Oh, I'm gonna have to do some phonetic spelling. We'll start. And would you like to begin?
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Grandone. I was born and raised in Urbana. I graduated of Urbana High School and Illinois Wesleyan University. I reside in Urbana with my wife and 2 lovely children sitting over there. I spent 10 years working in not-for-profit in the substance use and mental health field. I saw the bad side of government. I saw government waste. I saw government inefficiencies. I saw good people pushed around for no reason whatsoever. After that, I decided it was my turn to serve. And so I chose to be the Director of Training at the Champaign County Clerk's Office for current clerk Gordy Holt, which means I've spent almost the last 4 years preparing for this job. Director of Training, what does that mean? It depends which day you ask me. One day it could be working with our vitals department, making sure that we're following all the ever-changing state statutes in regards to people's vital records, their birth records, their death certificates, their marriage license. Some days it's working with our tax department to making sure we can get the right information to our township officials so they can file their levies appropriately and collect the money they need to serve their residents. Most days it's working with our election judges and making sure that elections here in Champaign County are run smoothly, fairly, and efficiently. During the past 6 elections that I've helped run, we've had over 200 and 250,000 people voting in Champaign County, almost all without issue. Tonight you're going to hear me talk a lot about experience, because to me that's what should matter in government. It should be about that job title above your name on the ballot, not your name on the ballot. In the real world, experience is what matters. How many times have you heard, "I'm sorry, you just don't have the right experience that we're looking for"? We should do the same thing in government, and we might get better results. Thank you.
Mr. Rector.
Thank you very much. My wife Kathy and I reside in Champaign. I've lived here my whole life and have been blessed with great work opportunities. I have 3 sons that live in Champaign and 2 grandkids. My parents have been part of this community their entire lives. While my father has passed away, my mother just celebrated her 95th birthday. In many ways, she is the inspiration for the time I put into community service. My older brother Carl passed away from leukemia when I was only 10 years old. My mother became one of the founders of Compassionate Friends in Champaign, which was a group to help her and others deal with this type of unspeakable grief. My mother taught me many things, but none more important than our responsibility to reach out to those in need and work to improve our community. So for decades, I've been involved in many volunteer organizations, such as Champaign West Rotary, where I'm a past president. I've coached and mentored young people. One of my passions is running. I've completed 8 marathons and often find time to run for charity. I've served for 20 years on the Champaign County Sheriff's Merit Commission and now serve on the county board. I have an undergraduate and master's degree from Eastern Illinois University. Of course, the day-to-day operations of the clerk's office are paramount. If elected, I'll be lucky to inherit an experienced staff, including my opponent and 8 others who have more experience in the office than he does. But the next county clerk needs to do more than make sure the elections run on time or properly. Like Gordy Holton and Mark Sheldon, I've never worked in the office, but I do have a vision for how the office can serve our county. If elected, I'll work to engage more citizens in voting. You can see a series of videos on our website, Election 101, that are just part of that effort. I'll make it easier for people to get ballots, especially out-of-town students who often want to vote from their homes but are frustrated by the process. I'll take extra steps to improve the integrity of the voting process to give everyone confidence in our election results. I look forward to your questions this evening and hope to have your support in the election. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rector, the first question, we'll start with you. What is the most important issue for the Champaign County Clerk, and what would you tackle first?
First of all, as I'll reiterate, they're in great shape. Gordy's done a great job with this organization. Again, there's some initiatives that we've announced. They're on our website. We want to make it easier for students to get involved, whether that's out-of-town students that want to vote here or students here. So I want people to vote. I want to be engaged. I want young people to be engaged. But I want to make it easy for them so they can vote where they want to vote. If they want to vote in their home county, we're going to assist them with that. If they want to vote here, we're going to assist them with that. They need to get involved. They need to get involved at an early age and make that commitment. So I want to work on that. The day of voter registration is great. Everybody has the opportunity. But again, we have some processes that we're going to put in place. We want to ensure the integrity of the elections on those days also. Thank you.
Mr. Grandone, what is the most important issue for the Champaign County Clerk, and what would you tackle first?
The biggest issue facing us in the clerk's office is the aging of our equipment. Most of our equipment was purchased in 2006 with federal HAVA funds. There are no remaining federal HAVA funds out there for us to purchase equipment. So that makes our equipment 11 years old. To purchase new equipment, you have a limited number of vendors you can use. They have to be federally certified, state certified, which means they control the prices. To purchase a brand new tabulator for just one of our 96 polling places, it's anywhere between $500 and $6,600. So to replace all 96 tabulators that we use on election day, that doesn't give us any extras, we're talking over $500,000. That's a bill the county can't afford right now. We have to find ways to work with our state legislators, to work with our folks in Springfield, to make sure that they put funds for us local election authorities, not only for things like equipment, but for unfunded state mandates like election day registration. It's a great process, but we had to change everything in our program just to make it work. There were no additional funds provided for us to do that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Grandone, could you describe the options available to the county clerk regarding early voting, like when it starts or where to offer it, and what do you plan to do?
So a lot of that is guided by state statute. For example, for the first 40 days, the only place you can vote is Brookins or from the comfort of your own home by requesting a vote by mail ballot. Meaning voting started February 8th, so last Thursday. Starting the 13th of March, which is the Tuesday before the election, we'll open all of our off-site early voting locations. What we try to do in the office is make sure everything is equal for everybody in the county. State law requires we have it at Brookins. State law requires we have it on campus. So for us, what makes the most sense is to offer it in other locations throughout the county to make it accessible for everybody. Mahomet, Rantoul, St. Joe, Tolona, West Champaign, North Champaign. Our job is to make elections equally accessible to every single voter. And at the end of the night, count the votes, and that's all.
Okay, Mr. Rector, can you describe what options the county clerk has regarding early voting, when to start, where to offer it, and what you plan to do?
Again, he said most of that right there. There's not a whole lot to add. Obviously, going online to the county clerk's site, they've done a nice job on that. So you can request your ballot there. You can pick up the phone and call. So with the process, they've made easy for everyone. So people need to remember they need to take this opportunity to get out and vote. Again, he said there's 9 places that start March 13th. Plenty of choices throughout Champaign County, on campus, throughout the county. And then obviously at the county clerk's office, you can go in there right now and do it in there.
Okay. Mr. Rector, what challenges do you foresee with staff retention in the county clerk's office?
Sorry,
staff retention?
Problems I see with staff retention with the new person?
We're getting questions from the audience.
Okay. Okay, great. That's fine. Just wanted to clarify. I don't think there'll be any issues that I can foresee with staff retention. I work with a lot of the staff now. They come to the Champaign County Board meetings. The county clerk's office is the official clerk for the Champaign County Board. My 2nd year serving on Champaign County Board. I was appointed 2 years ago. Was elected last November. I know the people that do the job there are incredible. I know the people involved in the tax extension process are incredible. By statistics, incredible. And obviously elections have gone well. Again, you know it's a good election when you don't have any issues. So the systems, the processes are in place for those things. I hear glowing reports from the staff that are in place. So you know, there might be somebody leave if Mr. Holton's elected that might leave from the office, but I would anticipate great staff retention because I know they do a great job right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Grandone, what challenges do you foresee with staff retention in the county clerk's office?
I don't foresee any. Most of our employees are union employees. They're protected for situations such as this. One of the few that isn't is me. I have no job security. Should the next person want to come in, they're free to fire me. It's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. I love the job I do. I want to keep doing the job I do. And the only way to do that is to run for this.
Okay. I'd like to remind the audience that this is their opportunity to ask questions of the candidates. So if you want to submit any questions, please do. Okay. Mr. Grandone, briefly, can you describe your qualifications for the position of county clerk?
Absolutely. I've been the director of training in the county clerk's office for the last 4 years, which means I've spent almost 4 years preparing for this day. I've been on the management team in the county clerk's office along with our current clerk, Cordy Holton, our chief deputy, Jeremy Sirks. There are very few decisions that go on in that office that don't include the three of us sitting together and trying to determine what's the best way to move forward, whether it's on a day-to-day basis with the staff or whether it's on overall thoughts of how we want to guide the office going forward. I've spent countless hours, almost 500 plus hours, training election judges to work with voters on election day. I've worked with internal members of our staff to fine-tune our processes to make sure that we run the most efficient government office in the county. To us, it's a service. We should be providing a service, just like Walmart, just like Starbucks. We should expect more of our government offices.
Thank you. Mr. Rector.
Thank you very much. I'll hit this really hard in my closing, but I spent my career in public service to Champaign-Urbana, whether it's Rotary or St. Jude's or one winter night last week for the 6th time. I've committed my career, my personal career, to helping other people in this community. So the leadership that I bring is, I've been there, I've done it, and I know what it takes. I've been involved with the Republican Party. I served 20 years on the Champaign County Sheriff's Merit Commission as the Republican appointment. I'm the treasurer of the Champaign County Republican Party. I've ran elections. I ran for city council in '93. I won my election last year. I know what it's like to campaign. I know what it's like to win, and I know what it's like to lose. And when it comes November, and we've got a tough candidate on the other side, I believe I'm the one to represent the Republican Party and the leadership and the commitment I've shown when we have that November election. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rector, do you support the state of Illinois' continued participation in cross-check? And if you could describe for the audience what cross-check is.
Yeah, cross-check is the system that the several Dems are protesting to the state of Illinois because they feel it's unfair. You read some of the Republican sides and they say, well, maybe it's okay. So it's obviously turned into a very, very political battle. It's a database that's ran out of Kansas where all these states have put their voter registration information in that shared database to help local counties manage their database. I mean, we don't want to keep carrying people on these rolls for 10 or 20 years if they're not active. So is there possibly some down things to cross-check? Yes. But there's also some good things to it. And it's gotten so political. So I need to do more research, talk to people that are smarter than me, that have read even more than I have. But the concept is good. It might take some tweaking. There were some security issues on emails and data breach. So there's some things that need to be tied up. The concept is good. That might need to be tweaked. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Grandone, do you support the state of Illinois' continued participation in cross-check?
Yes, I do. Cross-check is just one of two systems we use locally to fine-tune our data rolls, the other one being ERIC. All it is for us, for local election authorities, is another tool for us to use. The onus is on the local election authority and the staff there and how they use it. There are places where they simply take a possible match on cross-check and automatically remove people. For us, it's our job to go a step further and say, we have this possible match in terms of a voter that may be registered somewhere else. Now we have to take the extra step to figure out what we're going to do with that voter. The problem with getting out of cross-check is that not all states are involved in either program. Not all states are involved in cross-check, and not all states are involved in ERIC. For example, Indiana, a neighboring state, not involved in ERIC, involved in cross-check. There is a lot of voters that move back and forth between Indiana and Illinois. We wouldn't want to lose that ability to continue to cross-check that information. But for us, it's making sure that voters that need to be removed are removed correctly, taking the extra steps, working with the other jurisdiction to make sure, A, we have the right voter that we're talking about, and B, the voter actually needs to be removed, not just relying on a data system that flags a voter.
Okay, thank you. And how secure is county voter roll information, and what precautions should we take to protect citizen data from hacking?
The voter roll information specifically? Sure. At the Champaign County level, it's very secure. What people have to remember is our data is also shared with the Illinois State Board of Elections. The Illinois State Board of Elections was one of the states that was hacked last summer in terms of looking at the voter rolls. Nothing involving voting, but the voter rolls. Here, we make sure we follow all local county guidelines in terms of security as well as state guidelines. So here, our information is very secure. Here, your vote is very secure. Our tabulators that count the ballots are never, ever, ever connected to the internet. The machines that read the cards at the end of the night, the memory cards, are never, ever, ever connected to the internet. Meaning for somebody to hack that information, they'd have to be standing in the back of it, plugged into it with a computer. I don't foresee that being an issue.
Okay. And Mr. Rector, how secure is county voter roll information, and what precautions should we take to protect citizen data from hacking?
You know, it begs of the general question, what responsibility do we as government entities have to protect all that information? And as we've seen what's happened in the private sector, nothing is ever totally safe. We had the credit bureau that was hacked, a Target gets hacked, Schnucks gets hacked. But to your point, or to the question is, there are processes in place. So we have to continue to do our best to be a step ahead of the hackers. And again, with all that information going to the State Board of Elections, there's a lot of data that's transmitted there. So anyway, we just have to do our best locally to make sure that we do the best job we can with that data, protect everybody. It's a challenge for everybody, public sector and private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rector, what do you think is currently being done well by the county clerk, and what would you change, and how much would it cost? So 3 questions, I can reread it then.
Sure, would you repeat it?
What's being done well, what would you change, and what would it cost?
Well, I'm going to start at the bottom since I serve on county board and since I know we're just rolling in money. That's where you got to start with. I mean, that's everything with this county. Everybody wants everything. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to fund the nursing home. So we have to start with the cost. We all have limited budgets. What are they doing well? They do a lot of things well. Again, the idea of a great election is when everything goes perfect. And Gordy's done that. His predecessor did that. His predecessor's predecessor. So, I mean, we want to continue that going. There are so many things that the county clerk's office does. We talk about elections and registration. But I mean, the vital statistics, when I hear people talk about the customer, the service they get for marriage licenses and death certificates, birth certificates, they love the customer service they get. I know how great of a job they do for the county board. So a lot of it is keeping it going. Are there some technological issues? Sure. My opponent mentioned that. But again, that comes back to budget. What can we do? Where can we get the dollars to fix those technological issues? Thank you.
So this is a question. What do you think is currently being done well by the county clerk? What would you change, and how much would it cost?
I think where we excel is our customer service. Again, we look at it almost like a private sector business and making sure we provide a high-level customer service experience. In terms of what we can change, we can always do more. You know, even things that are small. For instance, when you go and vote on election day, when you sign your signature pad with your signature, it's still done on paper. We still have to bring all of that information back, scan it, upload it, and attach it to your records. That's a lot of staff time. Just small purchases like those electronic signature pads that you sign when you sign your credit card receipt, a small purchase of those could save us possibly 50 to 60 to 70 staff hours every day after the election. So we can automatically, when you sign, automatically attach that signature to your voter record without having to bring all that paper back, without having to scan it, without having to spend staff time and resources just pushing paper around. We can spend that time doing better things.
Okay, thank you. Okay, still with you. What have you done in your personal life to encourage civic engagement and voting?
I've done my job every day at the county clerk's office. That's what I can do to make sure we encourage voting. Whether it be working with our local school, our high schools, to encourage them to become election judges from an early age to then become involved in the voting process later on in life, to working with some of our senior facilities to make sure that they can register and access a ballot as easy as possible from their bed or from their home. I mean, just working in the office every day is what we do. What we do in the office is personal. It's not just a job. We love what we do. We wouldn't do it any other way. So that's what we do every day in our personal life, is just do our jobs that the taxpayers pay us to do.
Okay, and Mr. Rector, what have you done in your personal life to encourage civic engagement and voting?
I think it comes back to lead by example, and the past is a predictor of the future. I got involved in Young Republicans at Eastern Illinois University in 1975. I mean, that's just, the process is so cool on a local basis, on statewide, national. I mean, it's just, it's really important. And I taught my boys, I mean, they saw when I started voting in, what, 86, I've voted in every election since. I mean, it's the importance that you have that right, and you need to seize that opportunity. So whether it's my 3 boys or young people, it's like, you shouldn't be able to whine or complain about anything unless you've stepped in there and voted. And I voted Republican, and I voted committed to that. And again, it's just leading by example to vote so that other people know how important it is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rector, we're still with you. The current county clerk has a budget surplus of $200,000, according to this questionnaire. What do you propose to do with that money, or what do you want to use that money for?
Yeah, I'm really surprised if it's that high. I guess I'd have to defer to my opponent. I thought there was $100,000 in the technology fund. Yeah. So again, we were. He mentioned the ballot machines and some technology issues there that we need money for. So part of that $100,000, which is what I believe it is, could be used for some of those. Again, we have our initiatives that are on my website, on Facebook, as far as we would want to use some of that money for our initiative for student voting, and we want to use some of that money or find some other money, which I know isn't in abundance, for our initiative on verifying people and working with people day of voter registration. Again, just to maintain the integrity of the process. They're doing a great job. We want to maintain that integrity of the process and vote on voting day for same-day registration. Thank you.
Mr. Grandone?
Yeah, and generally we choose to use that for technology purposes in years where we do have a surplus. So for instance, odd number of years where we only have one election, usually small, don't have as many election judges, which is one of the bigger budget items we have in the office. We tend to kind of purchase new technology on a rolling basis. So in 2015, we purchased 4 new DS200s. So we had those should we choose to expand early voting. Should we need to expand it to process as many vote by mail ballots as we can. So we tend to use it kind of sparingly, but use it to purchase equipment on a rolling basis rather than get 5 more years down the road and we have a complete bill come due for $500,000 worth of DS200s.
And we have another question from the audience. As the Republican candidate, do you plan to support the entire ticket of the Republican Party?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. And is that it?
Yes.
Mr. Rector?
Yeah, I mean, The Republican Party has been committed to me. I've been committed to the Republican Party. We have an amazing slate of candidates. Some of them are sitting out here tonight. I've known some of them for 20 years. We all work really, really hard on this campaign trail, and our families work hard. So those candidates that are Republican, they just happen to be my friends too. And I'm going to support them, and I would do most anything for them, and they would do the same for me. So most definitely.
Okay. And Mr. Rector, have you ever crossed the cross ballot and voted in a Democratic primary, and if so, why?
No, I never have. Never have, and I wouldn't have a reason to do that. I've had some Democratic friends tell me they might do it for me, but I've never, ever done that. And I've voted in every election in this town since '86, and you can check my record. There's an R by it every single time, and I'm proud of it. And again, those are my friends. Those are the people that are out on the campaign trail. Those are the people that are supporting me. Those are the people I've supported. I go back to years ago, Greg Kozad, Laurel Pressing. We went to bed thinking that he had won. We got up the next day and he hadn't. It's like, my name wasn't on the scoreboard. It will be on March 20th. But it's like, I took that as a personal loss. So you get invested in your team, and I've been totally invested in the Republican Party in this county for years. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Grandone, have you ever crossed the ballot and voted in a Democratic primary, and if so, why?
Absolutely. 2017, Urbana mayoral primary. I did what every good Urbana Republican should do and pull a D ballot to vote out the previous mayor. There was time for a change in Urbana. We'd seen Urbana get run downhill for the last 12 years. At some point, the only way to make a change is to pull that ballot. No matter what you think of it, no matter what you want to do, sometimes you have to initiate the change.
Okay. Well, that appears to be all the questions that we have, so we're going to go to closing statements. And again, you have 2 minutes for closing statements. And we have the candidate who opened the opening statement, got the first opportunity, gets to start with the closing. So the candidate that was second with opening gets to close the debate. So we're going to start with Mr. Grandone, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. You know, I heard it said when I started this whole process that all this is just a really long job interview. I think that's accurate. It's a really long, sometimes strange, sometimes awkward, sometimes funny job interview. But at the end, it's my job as the candidate to put forth my credentials, to put forth my references. Well, my credentials are I work in the office now. My credentials are I've done the job since 2014. I made it easier for you to vote. I made it more secure. I made it more accurate. I made it easier for you to get your vital records. I've got pretty good references too. My references are the current county clerk, Gordy Holton, John Farney, the current county treasurer, Katie Blakeman, the current circuit clerk, the mayor of Champaign, Deb Finan. So when you go into that voting booth, ask yourself, when you got that ballot, was it a good experience? Did you enjoy it? Was it a good service? When you see those names on the ballot, remember, there's only one of us that made that possible. Thank you.
Mr. Rector.
Thank you very much. Gordy Holton, Mark Sheldon, Denny Bing never worked a day in the county clerk's office before they were in that position. The last time the Republican Party had a choice for this office, they selected Gordy over someone already in the office. The leadership of the party went outside. They did not select an employee inside the office, but rather a person who had a vision for how the office could serve the people. With all due respect, just because a person works in the office does not mean that they possess the leadership skills to run the office. I bring decades of leadership experience in the public sector and private sector. I was president of my Rotary Club. I was part of a team that raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the first 10 duck races for the Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club. I coached special needs kids, special needs children in the Tom Jones Challenger League, and I've mentored in Unit 4 since 2009. I didn't just start voting in Champaign County 3 years ago. I've been an active voter and participant in elections for my whole life. I've served 20 years on the Champaign County Sheriff's Merit Commission. I currently serve on the county board. I will take my years of Republican leadership and experience, my years of nonprofit leadership, my years of business leadership, and I'll take that real experience into the office. My vision is to better engage and educate voters, and encourage young people to participate, even at a time when cynicism seems to be growing. I've served the public since 1981. To read about our initiatives and to watch our Election 101 videos, go to John Rector for County Clerk on Facebook or johnrector.com. I'd like your vote on March 20th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to take a brief break while we get set up for the next debate, which will be the Republican primary for sheriff.